Time is 5:30. We'll call the meeting to order. Who's here? The three commissioners, the chief, the two deputy chiefs, Captain Caban and Kevin Halbern. Okay, we'll start by correspondence. Yes.
There's a notice of the merger from the town of Northfield where they merged the properties together at Park Street, where we picked up the state property.
Oh, you mean it's all together?
Yeah, it's all together now. It's all one property.
Of...
And there were several emails and letters back and forth with the attorney. And you've all received copies of those.
That's all we had on them too, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody got any questions? Okay, we'll move on. Report of the committee, the building committee.
Paul, we met last night, the building committee, we reviewed the Lorero report that the chief gave you a copy of.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have a chance to read it. It's sort of a summarization of all the data that they've collected, all the resources that we provided them, in a clear, concise understanding of that data as it pertains to the project. They're looking for the committees or the commissioners, I don't want to use the word acceptance, but confirmation that what they put together is accurate, and then they can move on to the next phase of the project. Additionally, we had discussions about documenting the charge for the committee. The committee's obviously working under the premise that they're taking the 2019 building committee report and taking the recommendation from that and moving forward, and then with the addition of having the contractor review the Sanborn Road property. But the commissioners have never formally documented that or voted on it. And the reason that that conversation came up was last month, in a manner of trying to get the public word out to the public, we wanted to put a blurb in the newsletter that Northfield sends out, as well as post that. And you have a copy of that in the report the chief sent us last page. So if you look at that, that's the insert that was included in the Northfield newsletter that the committee came up with. And the committee's looking to do that each month. And for this month, or it'll be coming out at the end of the month for August, the August newsletter, they wanted to put in the committee's charge and then an update. And so that's what brought up we must have the charge written down somewhere for the committee, and we couldn't find it. You said it was included in this?
So I went through 2 years of commissioners' meetings, minutes, and building committee meeting minutes, and gathered together conversations that were things like there was no vote taken. So if you look on the page previous to the second to last page on the thing, this is kind of what I cobbled up from all the conversations that what the commissioners really were intending for the building committee to do. But it's entirely up to you. It's your committee.
Now that's a very slimmed down charge, and I'm not sure that's enough. Maybe it's simpler is better, but
So I guess my thought is, what do you need from us? A vote? Or do you need some type of, I mean, you guys
we're obviously working under a premise that we created the RFP, we have a contract with the vendor based on
Yep.
what we all assume was what we were supposed to be doing. And we can continue to go that route without any charge, but the committee felt that there should be something more formal or more, something documented that could be referred to. Whether the commissioners feel it's necessary or not, well, that's up to the commissioners.
Yeah, I think the committee's still gonna continue to work towards a goal.
Right.
It's, but there was nothing, no vote actually taken on the actual charge of the committee from the commissioners.
When we start meeting with the public and, somebody asks, well, what was the commissioners, what did the commissioners give for instructions to the committee? What does the committee say? And if you use the 2019 report from the prior committee, it's pretty clear in there.
Yeah. So we need to do something to move forward.
I think it would be appropriate that the commissioners had documented what the committee is supposed to be doing. And it's neither here nor there, I guess, because we've been working under a premise for 3 years now through COVID and have a contract and are executing the contract. But
What do you think, Eric?
We need something, just reading this. And I don't know if it's putting the cart before the horse or however that goes, but the final last few words of that says meets the district's current needs, but what about?
Those words were actually that I got from Paul, because if we try to reach too far out into the future, then we're just gonna add expenses onto a building that,
No, I know that, but.
I think that's where those actual words came from in the minutes.
and if I haven't verbalized that correctly, I mean, Kevin's on the committee and he was on the previous committee. I don't know if he wants to throw in his take.
I don't see it as current versus previous committee. It's the same committee with different members. Just like the Board of Commissioners, it's still the commissioners. Membership changes and will continue to change and has a possibility of change every year. Our charge, as far as I'm concerned, is laid out in the document that the company that begins with an L, that I can't say that name no matter how hard I try. It's
Try
on
and
what,
spell it.
5.6 or 5.8 or something on there. That tells us, that's how we got to where we are. You call the committee whatever you want. I don't see it as current versus previous. It's the same committee, the same thing. However, what that says, what I think the charge is what we did. And then we went off in another direction. Because it says, the vote of the committee was one station at Park Street. Now, we're spending $15,000 to look at a piece of property over here behind us. Whether it was available or not, we've changed, we've hiccuped, we've changed course, we're the ferret looking for another hole.
I think,
And along with those changes in the committee members now are pushing something different than the majority of the committee at the time. One of the committee members said, well, we were negligent in 2019 when we came up with the proposition we came up with. The only way you're ever gonna have any success is if you pick one thing and you go with it. We're headed for another no vote. And that's not where I wanna spend my time.
I think, Kevin, one of the reasons that, this is how I feel, one of the reasons why we did this over here is because it's very well known, if we don't look into this and don't do anything to find out if it's feasible, it's gonna be no anyhow. That's obvious. I mean, you hear it every day. If it's not here, we're gonna vote no. So we gotta prove to them that if we build one here, what the cost is gonna be. If we build one here, it's gonna be a lot more, whether it's one or the other.
So is it whether it's you as a voter, whether you as a person individually, is it one station in either place, or is it one station and a substation?
I want one station. That's what,
That's something we talked about last night. We're not clear, because now we're talking, in that document from
Lorero.
that company, it talks about renovating Park Street. We never talked about that.
what do we renovate Park Street?
And they're, yeah, that's a nice,
Where it says station.
So if you look at,
that's a nice presentation. I think they did a hell of a good job.
On here,
It talks about stuff we haven't talked about.
it says single station space need requirement. 2 program options were provided for review. Option 1 includes a single new construction 12 base station on Park Street, while option 2 includes a new construction 8 base station on Sanborn Road with a renovation to the existing Park Street 4 base station. And we never gave them that specific level of detail, so they pulled that out of some of the documentation that we made available to them over the years.
And I found out they watch all our meetings. They watch the commissioners' meetings afterwards and all the building committee meetings afterwards as well.
So the committee reviewed the document, and we talked about that at great length, but we felt at this point, let them continue to move forward to work towards giving us some cost proposals. And we looked at the renovations at Park Street. It would be good to know that, but that might be a different project. That's not part of this project, but it would be good to know that dollar amount.
So I'm just wondering if you do that, if they're gonna charge another $4,000 or $5,000 for that.
Well, they don't indicate that, no.
So that was one of the questions, and I had a conversation with Jim this morning on the phone, because after the meeting, I sent an email with the 2 questions that we kind of had about this. Does the 115 give us a guaranteed maximum price? Yes. And I says, that includes everything that you included in 5.8. He says, that, because I says, that really, you're trying to give us 3 prices there. A price for a 12 base station over there, an 8 base station here, and a renovation of Park Street. That's 3 different prices. I says, that 115 covers everything? He goes, yes.
Yes,
Eric's got his hand up.
go ahead.
I think it's important that, yes, it costs us additional money, but I think to do due diligence, to go back to the taxpayers and say, we left no stone unturned, meaning
we went and we looked at every option, knowing that, you know, there's a preference, and Lorero is gonna come back to us and tell us what that's gonna cost. And then the committee can make a recommendation to the commissioners and say, okay, option A is the best way to go, or option B is the best way to go, or option C, or whatever the number of options are gonna be the most economical and meet the needs of the department. I think if we don't do that, you're gonna be more likely to get a no vote where we say, versus saying, okay, we looked at everything, this is what's gonna best serve the district and the needs of the department. If we don't do that now, then we're gonna be stuck, I think, forever.
So is it as simple as updating the charge to include a review of the design contractor's plans and set forth the most feasible one to do?
Well, I think if you look at the second to the last page of the chief's packet, second to the last. Second one,
There.
a very straightforward and short. Maybe that's all that's needed.
I think it's straight to the point.
It is straight to the point. The only trouble is, are they gonna come up with the three options? So the people say, you know, it's not cost-wise to build it here, it's not affordable to do this here, but if we do this here, it's affordable, and it's shovel-ready.
I think that we don't have enough information to be at that point of discussion.
But it's coming, right?
It's coming.
So what do we need to, do we need to vote on so we can have them do that, or?
No, I think the Lorero's looking for us to confirm that this is, what they put together is correct and accurate.
Yes.
And that's with the three options.
Yes. And then the second thing is, do we feel we need to, or do we want to, vote on the charge for the committee?
Just two things.
Two separate things. I sort of brought them all up. Apologize.
I think we ought to look at all three options. I know it's money cost, but, you know, the last 3 or 4 years, we've spent a lot of money looking at different areas. And this would be the last one, because after this, there's nothing. There's nothing. So hopefully this would be the end of it. Unless somebody was going to donate a fire station. And I don't think that's going to happen.
And Kevin wins the Powerball.
Apparently you have to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Anyway, I have reviewed the Lorero program evaluation, or design build phase 1 program evaluation. We discussed it last night at our meeting, and I would be in favor of that they're correct and accurate with what they put together.
Okay. So if you want to make a motion?
So I guess I make a motion that we acknowledge receipt of this document and that we're in agreement with the content that they've included.
I'll second. Any discussion? Eric? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now the second one, go ahead. You make a motion? Huh?
Second one's in regards to formal charge for the.
Oh,
I'll make a motion.
You want me to?
Go ahead.
All right, I move that the commissioners approve the following as a charge for the committee. Recommend that the committee recommends to the commissioners a shovel-ready plan that can be voted on at the 2024 district meeting for a fire station that meets the district's current needs.
And moving in second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That take care of it? Any other questions on the building committee?
Next meeting is the 24th, I think.
Yeah, 2 weeks from yesterday.
How are we doing on personnel on there? There's a new comment on there?
We have a new member, I think we're still short one. And scheduling, we seem to have a conflict with being able to have the firefighter representatives attend the meetings on a regular basis.
You have nobody else that wants to get on there, yes, evidently.
Not that I'm aware of.
How many on there now?
Total 8 members?
Well, last night it was Kevin and Dennis Manning, Nathan, I can never remember. Lisa Martin, the chief, myself, Paul Blaisdell, and then the 2 firefighters. Actually, the committee is listed on the last page of your.
That's it.
So,
Other than that, I don't think the committee has anything else to report at this time, unless the chief has something else that you've discussed with Laura at all.
no, just sent the email to him last night, had a phone call this morning, clarifying the questions, and told him about a couple of the typos. And he said that apparently in one page in the chef, not a chief.
Chief wasn't so worried about the typos until he saw that they spelled chief wrong.
Are you the chef now?
I can cook.
So we can move forward on that? Okay. Okay, let's move on. Chief's report.
Okay, the chief's report, of course, I sent that out to you today, and I'm sorry that I did not get it to you last week. Like again, I said that I had it all set to go, and it was in my draft box on my email, but somehow it never got sent out, and I'll take the blame for that, for sure. First item on the thing was the budget. We're still waiting for the final documents on the audit for the 2022 budget. The 2023 budget, we've expended 47.6%, and we're 50% through the fiscal year, so we're doing good. Total apparatus and equipment fund balance through June is $740,593.44. And total ambulance revenue through June is $255,787.99. Any questions on any of that?
That's added into the 740? 200?
That's
That's,
yes and no. It's, in the end of the year, that'll be part of the balance.
okay.
So at the end of this year, I anticipate we'll have $800,000 or $900,000 in the apparatus and equipment fund. And I've passed this out a number of times, is the capital improvement program spreadsheet. That gives us a good predictor of where we're going to be, and with expenditures and revenue into and out of the apparatus and equipment fund. I'm going to have to adjust that spreadsheet this year because now we're expending repairs, maintenance, and service contracts out of that as well. But that will not be a problem with the revenue stream that we have, so it's a good thing.
You'll send out a revised version of that?
I'm doing budget stuff right now for the 2024 budget. I haven't gotten to that part of the budget yet. I'm still working on the operating part of the budget currently. But when I do it, I'll send it out. You'll all get a copy of it, I promise.
Any questions? Eric? On that?
On the budget?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just looking at some repair on 20A1.
Yep.
Seems like it's awfully high.
Well, so the air conditioning system, the compressor blew up and deposited metal filings throughout all the fluid of the air conditioning system. So we thought it was just a compressor, but when they took the compressor off and we had a new compressor to put back on, it was, all the lines were full of metal filings, so they had to go back to Greenwood and have all the lines flushed, all the condensers and things replaced, and to get the system back up and running, and that was a substantial cost.
Is that there's not a warranty on it?
The ambulance almost has 100,000 miles on it right now, so it's well past its warranty. The ambulance has come with a 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty.
That's what, 7 years old?
2017, yeah.
I forget which one is the newer ones.
What was the rear door issue?
So the latch rods, there was a leak somewhere and it caused some corrosion around the door, but that wasn't the main thing. The latch rods, like when you pull on the handles, they were stripping out of their things, and so the doors were still open and closed, but it wasn't operating the way it should be. So we had that portion of the rear doors rebuilt so that the doors would open and close reliably and properly.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
Career salaries and wages overtime,
Mm-hmm.
are you concerned that that seems to be
Over?
over?
Yes, of course, that's one of my concerns. And the reason for it was that we had an open slot, which we had hired a firefighter who was then immediately put on active military duty. And so we couldn't give that slot away because of the law requiring us to maintain that slot for him. So we were filling that slot with overtime. And that's why the overtime budget is the way it is. And before he was supposed to come back, he resigned his position with us just before he was supposed to come back. We had a hiring process, and we hired 2 new firefighters that started yesterday. We also had another firefighter leave and go to Manchester. So we had 2 open slots, and we filled those slots, and the 2 new men started yesterday. Today was their 2nd day. They're going to be on 2 weeks of days, and then they will be assigned to their shifts, and that'll fix the overtime issue.
So the one that was on active duty, how long was he on
6
active?
months, 7 months?
And he knew he was gonna, wow, what a slap in the face.
Of course you didn't know.
Huh?
You didn't know.
What do you mean, didn't he come back and quit? Wow. It's kind of a, yeah, that's kind of a slap in the face.
Yeah, it was disappointing to
Yeah.
see that, for sure.
what did we invest in for like uniforms and things
A
like that?
physical and a background check.
You pay for
We
it?
didn't pay for anything other than that. And since he was in the military, any schooling that he was going to go to would have been paid for by the military, not would have been paid by us. But something happened in his life, and he couldn't basically take a pay cut to come to work for us. He had to stay where he was.
Would have been nice to know 5 months ago.
Yeah.
That definitely would have been nice to know 5 months ago. We knew there was a problem when, like a month before he was scheduled to come back, we started trying to communicate with him, and he was kind of ghosting us. But water under the bridge now, and we moved on, and we got 2 new men that are doing very well so far.
Okay.
Pressurized hydrant use, we did not use any hydrants in the month of June. For the fire prevention report, we did 58 fire prevention inspections in the month of June. I know you usually like to look at those, Paul. Any questions on that, any of those?
Let me just.
Do the place of assembly inspections also happen at a particular time of year, because there's not that many in here?
We try to rotate them throughout the year, so they're not all at one time. So it's kind of summer hit or miss, and a lot you'll notice are in March, because I think that's when the liquor inspector does. So over the years, people will go over or under, and they cannot get a liquor license without that place of assembly permit. So you'll notice a lot in March. Yeah, so we do try to fluctuate them throughout the year, so we're not inundated at one time. And we do try to keep away from the fall, because in the fall is the school inspections, and the school inspections take a lot of man hours. We have a lot of schools, and so we try to keep the place of assemblies away from the fall.
Have you done anything on the new building up there on Route 3?
Which one?
That new.
The preserve, the hotel, or yeah. So far, I've done a lot of the plan reviews. We're working with Sean Bergeron out of Conway. He's doing a third-party review. It's beyond my scope of expertise. I mean, I'm working alongside with him, but you know, he's a third-party reviewer reviewing those plans, and I'm working with him. Now the plans have been released. We released the plans to, and we've given our okay. I just was up there yesterday, not yesterday, might have been Friday. I don't know what happened this week, but they put a cistern in the ground for us. By their insurance company wanted it, but so there's 30,000 gallons of water in the ground. They did have a leak. I had to go up there and make sure the leak was taken care of. The leak has been taken care of. So that 30,000 gallons will be available to us for firefighting activity within the next week or so. But as far as once that's done, I won't be back there to do inspections for a while. Chuck Bodine's up there almost every day, he works. But there won't be anything for me until like a rough sprinkler, rough fire alarm, stuff like that. So it's going to be a while before I'm needed to be back up there for inspections. Maybe some gas piping, but the gas piping's easy stuff.
I was there today for probably an hour talking with the site foreman. It's still going to be a year and a half out before it's completed.
And where they put the cistern, is that in the front of the?
Right by the road.
Yeah, I saw them put it in there.
There'll be another cistern. That cistern's for firefighting activity. There'll be another cistern on that's where the road's going to come in. It's going to be a turnaround. On the other side of that, there'll be another cistern, almost identical to it. But that cistern will be for the sprinkler system only. We will be able to touch it if we need to, but we're not supposed to use that. That's for the sprinkler system. The other 30,000 gallons is for firefighting activity.
Now, the cistern there, if we needed that, something else, we're allowed to use
Yes,
it?
yeah, the one they put in now.
Yeah, the one, yeah.
Yeah, the other one for the sprinkler system, you'd have to have a real good reason to touch the other one. But we'll have that 30,000 gallons of water will be plenty enough for, at least get anything under control we need to get. It's actually nice, because we don't have, with all that waterfront there, we don't have any good water down there. It's a very unprotected portion of the town, so it'll be good to have that there.
And within a month or so, we're scheduled to put a new dry hydrant in at Jay's Marina, so that's all approved and set and ready to go. We're just waiting for,
Yes, I talked to Steve Partridge about
yeah,
a month ago now, and he said probably end of July. He said it's going to be a couple-day project, and he's trying to keep it away from holiday weekends too, because it's going where the parking lot for the boat launch is. It's on the other side of the boat launch, actually, where the parking lot is. So he'll be digging on that side. There's a culvert that actually Kenny built 20 years ago. He built that culvert, and so it's going to come right up to that culvert.
Great.
okay?
Yep.
All right, we had 177 incidents last month. 127 of those were EMS in nature, equating to 70% of the total incident volume for the month. And the engine responded with the ambulance 55 times last month. Any questions on that?
No?
All right. Moving forward, we had 96 overlapping or simultaneous incidents for the month. That's 54% of all incidents were overlapping. We received 16 mutual aid ambulance responses, 8 transported. We responded to 9 mutual aid requests and transported 5. We received 2 mutual aid engine responses and we responded with our engine 3 times on mutual aid.
Seems awfully high at 16.
That's because A1 was out of service.
For almost 2 weeks. And
Apparatus, of course, A1, and the rear doors rebuilt. The Opticon was replaced on A1 as well. And all our pumps passed their certification testing. Moving forward with grants, the SAFER grant is up to date on reimbursements. Again, the Homeland Security grant has been awarded. We've ordered all the materials for that. I'm still waiting for that material to come in. I have an email out to the vendor on that. I sent it to him yesterday. I still haven't heard from him back, but he touches base every week or two saying, yeah, we're still waiting for these parts or that part. When it comes in, they'll put it up. And again, I applied for a fiscal year 2022 SAFER grant to extend the current SAFER employees another 3 years. I should hear from that grant, whether it's approved or not, by the end of September.
What do you think our chances are?
Not good.
Okay, that's what I
You never know. Center Street, the camera installation is supposed to be next week, starting next week. Park Street, I don't have anything. The radio system, the cell tower is fully operational, as you know, and we're now collecting the monthly rent on the tower lease. And as more tenants come online, that rent will go up. We'll be moving the base station for the Park Street radio into the communication shelter shortly. We have all the radio parts that come in to do that have come in, and now we're just waiting for OME to put us on the schedule to get all that stuff completed.
Well, I guess explain that. I don't understand what you mean.
So the base station, the radio that's in Park Street,
Yeah.
that's on a roof antenna.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it's almost falling off.
Yeah, I see that.
That's going to be, the base station is going to go into the shelter at the bottom of the tower.
Okay.
It's going to use one of the antennas that's on the tower that's up really high.
So you'll be hooking into the tower?
Yes.
Okay.
And then that audio and remote will be remoted back into the fire station.
Okay. Have you had any people ask about the tower? I mean, to get on that?
Not me, no. No. I wouldn't be the one they want to ask, they need to,
Oh,
they need to talk. They need, well, if they do ask me, I would refer them to the tower owner.
Okay.
So any of the people that want to do that, they already know who the tower owner is, whether it's, you know, like Verizon or.
So what do? They approach the owners of the tower,
Yes,
then they let you know, or they just,
they just show up and start hanging stuff on it, and the tower owner lets me know that, oh, we got another tenant, and they'll be there to put their equipment on at some point.
Do they actively solicit these other providers?
I imagine so. He owns like, 80 towers, so, all over the Northeast and Alaska and Florida and stuff, so. I imagine he's always looking. Let's see, personnel, we're not processing any call company applications at this time. As I told you, the new employee started yesterday, and Kyle Wooden, who was one of our call firefighters, who have now transitioned into a career firefighter, and Brandon Flanagan, who was a call firefighter in Marlboro, who is now one of our career firefighters. And all set on that?
Yeah.
All right. We already kind of talked about the dry hydrants and cisterns, and safer grant implementation. It's the second quarter reimbursement has been requested, and you didn't get an email on that yet today, did you, Kathy?
No.
Okay, so we should be getting that reimbursement shortly. And that's the end of my report.
any questions for the chief?
Are the, it seemed like last year there was a lot of scuttlebutt in the state about pay in firefighters. Do you feel that with the changes that we made to our wage scale, I mean, it sounded like you were relatively easy able to fill the openings here. I mean, I know that we had the one that we couldn't fill,
So,
but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of scuttlebutt going on out there with openings and shortage and.
the state is still drastically short of firefighters. If you go on the state website, there's probably 70 openings for career firefighters currently. We were very fortunate that we were able to fill our positions. We had 6 applications, and of the 6, only 2 of the applicants were actually qualified to be hired as firefighters. So we were lucky to be able to fill the 2 that we had. I'm in the middle of doing a pay analysis, comparing us to others that everyone else around us that I do every year. Should have the results of that for you guys in next month, so that we can discuss it.
Now, these 2 guys, the qualifications they got, are they, I know they meet our qualification, do they have more than that, or?
They have a couple more certifications, yeah. I think I expressed
They're not
you.
paramedics all?
No,
No.
they're both basics.
They're basic EMTs.
We're gonna utilize that grant to send them to there's still a lot of that ARPA money to send them to AEMT school, and the state will reimburse, and actually reimburse 50% of their wages for that period of time too.
And they understand that if something happens at district meeting and it don't get voted on to keep them guys, they're the ones that are going to be.
That was clearly explained to them.
Very clearly.
It was clearly explained in the interview process. Actually, one of the candidates, I think one of the reasons he left was because of that. It was clearly explained when we did the hiring process. It was clearly explained again when they filed the paperwork, and actually I had that discussion with them again yesterday. So they do, I didn't want to,
And we discussed it again today at lunch.
okay.
Okay. Oh, yeah, was there.
Yes.
I mean, hopefully things go through, but
Yeah.
you never know. Any other business for the chief? Okay, old business. Building committee, we went through that, unless you guys got any more. Got anything, Eric? Anything, Tim?
No.
Okay. Okay, let's move on. New business.
There was a minute.
There's none?
No.
Wow. That's great.
Keep it rolling, Tom.
Yeah. Okay, review the minutes of 6/23, public. Everybody have a chance to read them?
I did, yes,
Huh?
I did.
I have no problem.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 6th, 2023 meeting.
I'll second it. We'll move second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any other business? Review and sign the manifest.
There is none, but we do have disposition reports to review.
So we'll skip that one. Public comment.
So, I want to talk about this. This should be reflective of what was outlined in the RFQ. You voted tonight that, in fact, it is. However, it isn't. Another, whatever you want to call it, pickup, well, change of course. If you take the RFQ and you read this, RFQ doesn't say anything about anything but one station at Park Street, and then it was added or another location. Nothing at any point in the RFQ said anything about two locations. Every time that happens, when someone's on the ball, and they're gonna look at all this stuff in a row, you were in New Hampshire and you were gonna go to Oklahoma, but you ended up, you went by way of Florida. It doesn't look good. It does not look good.
Yes. Geez, I didn't read all that there because I didn't have time, but we, huh?
It's a lot of
It's a
reading.
lot of reading.
It's good reading. If you at all have the chance or can make the time, I read it and I just like reading it. I did read it. It's very nicely done. It just doesn't, the flow is gone, is what I'm saying. From day one when it was decided, it should flow nicely. It just concerns the hell out of me that where the hurrier we go, the behinder we get, and the behinder you get, the more mistakes you make.
I mean, it's been, how many years, Mike? I mean, I can remember years and years and years. It's been a long time, and it's got voted down every time.
There's a lot of time, been a lot of work, and
Yeah,
a lot of people.
and I feel
have
bad for
given
a lot of people who've been on
towards
the
it.
committee there, because like I said, a lot of them have worked hard. You've been on a long time there.
Oh, yeah, and it's not
And-
the first one, so.
But if we do, you don't think if we don't weigh every option,
But at some point, you've got to draw a line, because what if another piece comes up? I wholeheartedly believe that the fire district should own that piece of property. Should own it. As an ace in the hole future. There's nothing, I would stand up at any district meeting and say, yep, we should come to fair market value on that lot and the fire district should buy that piece of land. Should own it.
I think it would be
Separate
a
deal.
good piece of land to own, because like I said, maybe in the future,
Yeah, but that should have been a different deal. It shouldn't have been put into this pot of mashed potatoes. That's all. I mean, I know that you've got to do all you can do, and the most you can do is the least you can do. Or the least you can do is the most you can do. But in the end, you want that positive outcome. You've got to show that you got your eye on the prize, you didn't waver, you went, you did it, you got it. Any chance that someone has to throw a dart at your balloon.
and you don't think if we focused right on Pack Street, like we said you were gonna, we come up with a number, come up with a figure, somebody wouldn't get up and say, you know, you were offered this piece of property here for this amount of money, you never looked into it?
Oh, I'm gonna tell you, if you didn't, I would be the first
No,
one to stand up.
I would as well, but like I said, we should own that property, absolutely, no question. But it should be an outright purchase at fair market value. That's the best way, that's how you, and fair market value, because of its limitations, is a lot less than fair market value if I could come in and put something there commercially. Huge difference. But no, we definitely should own that piece of property. But I will stand up at any district meeting and say, yep, we need to buy that. It's a good opportunity to own that. Separate deal from a new fire station. That's all.
But even, I guess, I'm just trying to,
I mean, what are you gonna do if another piece of land comes up? And someone says, hey, did you know that's available? Why didn't you look at that? That's kind of halfway between, and the response times are more or less favorable. Because that's what those people are looking at. And it's always, this whole thing it's really like a double-edged sword. You know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
You're right.
You try your hardest, you do what you can, and in the end, the people are gonna say what they're gonna say.
I mean, look at Tilton School property, I mean, we spent some money there.
And there's also gonna be, so that there will, no matter what it is, there are people who will vote yes, no matter what it is. No matter what it is, there are people who will vote no. So your focus needs to become the ones you can sway. The ones that are automatic yeses are fine, automatic no's, but the people you can sway. And there's a chunk of them. And I'm one of them. I've said from the beginning, we need a new fire station, I want a new fire station. But at some point, people are going to vote with their pocketbooks, and they've shown us that how many times. Yeah, I'd like to have that, but damn, I can't swing it, I can't afford it. You gotta keep your eye on.
You don't think people would look at it? If we build one here, it's X amount of dollars. If we build one here, it's going to be a lot less. You don't think, I would look at it more or less that we're going to get a good station here and a good one here, but this one's going to cost a lot more to do it. Well, what are you going to go after?
It's going to matter what the price of that one is, because if you're talking again 5, 6, 7 million, you're banging your head on the wall. I think. It's no fun. I enjoy this kind of thing. I like this interaction, but it used to be no fun. It's tiring because you try and you try and you try and you try. And
The firefighters are still sitting over there at Town Street.
you know, I think Mike Robbins has been around a long time. Paul, you've been around a long time. I think other than you two, I'm probably the most involved, regular person. It always goes, always. And I, you know, I hope for the best, but this seems to be things that, as we go, that we may be giving people ammunition to shoot us with.
I really think though, you have to show the people it's X amount of dollars in here. It's gonna be cheaper if we do it here, or cheaper over here. And more than likely, I mean, when I say cheaper, if you're talking millions, of course they're gonna go with the cheapest one. I don't think the location is a big thing. I really don't.
I don't think it's as big as some people do.
I don't think it's that critical.
You know, we're gonna be asking to bond, and guess what's happening to interest rates? Why, it's ridiculous. I follow that stuff daily, and it turns my stomach. We could have borrowed money, what, 2 years ago for
Less than 2%.
2%?
Less than 2%.
You know, the last 10 I signed for the town of Northfield, $1 million at 1%. And now, is it 4?
The part that scares me is the building costs. What was $3 million is now gonna be $5,
It's not more.
if not more.
Oh, yeah, and I think more, because,
Yeah.
I mean, you take a little project like my house, 130 grand over finished cost ain't done yet. Guess what? That's not good news.
No.
You know, so there's a lot of things that we got to overcome. And the fewer things we create that we have to overcome, I think that's momentum for us. But, thank you. Let me speak.
Anybody else got any questions?
Sure. My father.
Okay, no more public comment.
That's a woman.
I know it is.
That's it, want to move in non-public?
Oh, no. You can.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think that's a public meeting too, you can go.
We'll go to the other place.
Planning board meeting. Closer to this.
That's the way I'm going too.
The alligator trap might open on the other side of the door, so we'll watch that instead. I'll probably come.
In the winter time, it gets icy.
Sure does.
Okay, let's go non-public. Under RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2.
We need a motion
Yeah.
to go into non-public?
I'll make a motion that we go into a non-public session for RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2C.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, move second. Now we do.
Roll call vote?
Roll call vote?
Roll call vote.
All those are yes.
Tim Sattler, yes.
Derek Pyrie, yes.
Motion's been made.
That's 6:30. Do you need anything?
We need to stop recording now.
6:29.
Do we have the black button?
Just push.
I'll make a motion to go back into public.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, move second. We gotta do a roll call or anything?
No, just vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
What time?
6:44. I'll make a motion to adjourn at 6:45.
Second.
You got this
Move second, all those in
massive truck in
favor?
front of you,
Aye.
and you still, after all that, you expect to push a button, and everything fills up and magic happens, we still gotta burp it like we always have.
No.
Get some of that air out, I think it's.
Did you hear what we're talking about with the wet pump too?
Yeah,
So we might need to investigate a little bit more about
Rethink that.
the pump should be, it should